Awesome. So we are live. Karibuni sana. Nice to see all of you here. Acha ni share screen yangu ndio nianze. Actually nisha share. Okay, so Kenya nilitaka kufanya. No, sigu. Just a minute. No, I need Google Calendar, Google Drive. Hapo ndio slides zangu ziko.
Unaweza stop share basically.
Nishafika.
Ameshashika. Oh, then link. Oh, for how do I?
Sawa. So kama hauko online unaweza onea kwa hiyo screen. All right, so karibuni you guys. Poleni sana for the configurations tulikuwa tumeset up bado. So let me go full screen. Iko wapi? There. All right, so today we're going to be doing metaprogramming, method missing specifically. Yeah, I'm your presenter, Getty, na tutaanza. So I was thinking, before tuanze, kuna basics za Ruby zenye mse lazima kuwa na English. Sorry. So before we start, there are basics in Ruby that I was thinking we must know to be able to understand the topic that I'm about to talk about. So the first point is, in Ruby, objects are created from classes. Okay, so the Nico distracted. The first point, in Ruby, objects are created from classes. I'm pretty sure if all of us here are doing Ruby, we know well that Ruby is object-oriented, and if at all you want to create an object, we need to have a class. Malcolm nimesema? All right, anyway, I need your full attention, just so we're able to understand everything that we're learning today. And I'll start again. In Ruby, objects are created from classes. For us to be able to create an object, we need to have a class. Ruby is object-oriented, so to create an object, we need to have a class. That you should know. The second one, a class contains or inherits methods that alter an object's behavior. When we have a class, classes are open in that if at all you want to manipulate an object that belongs to a certain class, we can always use methods to manipulate it. For example, I can write on the board. Okay. Let me just go to my terminal. I hope it's visible. What am I doing? Okay, so let me go to IRB. IRB is interactive Ruby. It's a place where we can always do our Ruby stuff and see what happens. You can also use Pry. It's usually the same thing. Okay, so I probably create a class called Pry. P-R-Y. It's same as IRB if I'm not wrong. Okay. So I can define, a class called, give me a name randomly.
Random.
Thank you. Random. And when I define a class random, I can say, I give it a method called fly. Fly ya kupeperuka. Fly for flying, not the other one. Not the fly the inzi thing. The fly, and I can say, this is what you print when I call you. I can fly. There, we end the method and we end the class. Then for us to be able to call this method anywhere, we need a new instance of this class. Can someone tell me how to create an instance of a class? You see? How do I create an instance of a class? Just one method.
You can call it with the dot call. No, you can call it to call.
Nah.
Okay.
Someone else? Really?
This one is very
Creating an instance of a class
Yes.
from the class.
Yeah.
That means you're creating an object.
An object, yes. Refugee? Guess? All right. So to create a new instance of a class, we only take the class name, which is random, and we call .new on it. I hope that is clear. This, I've created an object called tr, just a random object. Then on this tr, I want to call the method fly. What do you think I'll get? Any suggestions? I can fly. Exactly. All right, so that's mostly about, let me go back to this. Sorry, what? Yeah, not today, Crafty. Okay, so a class contains methods that alter an object's behavior, just like I've altered an object that to tell it it can fly, because anytime I call that method on that object, it will print the words I can fly. That's what I meant by altering an object. And no, that I'll come to. Okay, the third one is inheritance. What the sorry. The third one is inheritance or ancestral method concepts called lookup paths. Let me give you an example. I have to skip here like a million times. So what if I want to call dot respond to maybe. This is just an example of a method. No. Wait. Let's do this. We have a class random, right? Let's see what methods class random has. Methods. So generally, these are all the methods that class random has. Let me hide that. In all these methods, there are methods that the class has and there are methods that the class inherits. We can see how the class, we can see the class, your class is going to a random, and the people it inherits from. So I think it's ancestors. Iko na my parents, grandparents, ancestors. So these are all the, can I call them classes? Classes that class random inherits from. So when a method is not in class random, it can either be here, it can be here, it can be here, it can be here. Yeah. So that's what this means. Right? That is what this means. So inheritance, I can't highlight hapa. Inheritance is like mimi ni Getty and I want to take something from my parent or my grandparent. Itabidi nimeinherit. I'm Getty and I want to take something from my parents or my grandparents. I'll have to inherit from them. So that's what inheritance generally means. Then there's method overriding. Overriding a method is when it has been defined earlier and I want to either alter it or add details to it. That's what method overriding is.
Does it mean that I need to unmute myself.
The bad audio. Does that mean that if I inherit the ability to dance from my parent, then I don't want to dance like my parent, I override their dancing method, but I can still dance? Is it the same thing?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it means. By me taking a method from my parent or my grandparent doesn't in any way mean that I'm altering that method. I have my method here. Oh, no, wait. I'm taking the method from them, a copy of the method from them, and I'm altering it in a way that I want to use it. I hope that's clear. Yeah.
So by doing that, do you define the method again in your object?
In your
Your
class.
class?
Yes. You okay? Answered. All right. So a method can take parameters or arguments. We'll see that later on. And then there's metaprogramming. Metaprogramming is simply writing code that writes code. That's a bit confusing right now, but you'll see it later. Perfect. And then there's the hierarchy. So in Ruby, objects and classes can also have parents and grandparents, just as we've seen by doing .ancestors or .superclass also gives you a parent to a certain class. So let's do the hierarchy just for us to understand it. Let me clear this. Okay, so we had a class random. How about we ask random who its superclass is? Can anyone make a guess? Object. Any other guesses? Okay, so its superclass is object. You can also ask it for its superclass. More guesses? Random. Akijongea. Objects. Good guess. Neil, lazima guess kitu. You have to. Objects. Class. All right. To reveal.
Yes.
Basic object. Superclass. Neil. So basic object ndo mama yao. Like you can't go beyond that. Grandma yao. Sawa, if you put it like that. And we can also check, this will be different from this. Let's check the superclass of class. Class is also a class, by the way, but that's a discussion for another day. What the hell? Yeah, uppercase, sorry. The class. There's a class called class in Ruby. Yes.
And there's a METAPROGRAMMING.
Any guesses? Ama tuendelee. It's module. Now let's check the superclass of module. I need you guys to understand the hierarchy. Oh, kwa hiyo.
Actually, say, so we have the superclass kwa hiyo, but sasa we change your class. Class has to be class.
Oh.
That's with the class.
Got it. It's object. And the superclass of the superclass of the superclass.
Basic object. Now I know.
Basic object. Module.
Module the superclass in the same area like.
9:15. Objects.
Mimi line 17 kwenye na type. So ukienda line 15 zingine something. Unajua class dot super class ilikuwa module.
Oh
So
yeah.
ukisema class dot super class itasema module.
Then dot
ukiuliza
superclass
hiyo si the same thing. So
new object. All right, good. So this is the hierarchy I mostly wanted you guys to understand. The superclass of class is module. The superclass of module is object. And the superclass of object is basic object. So the ultimate is the basic object.
Which means everything else inherits from the basic object.
Exactly. All right, so go back to this. So done. So remember, a child can use methods a parent owns, like the way you've seen that. The way I'm a class, since every class can inherit from basic object, all the methods on basic object or module or object, I am able to use them because I inherit from them. I am their child or their grandchild or something. And if it doesn't want to inherit that method, it can always alter it, or it can always call back to the parent method and say, I don't want to use my method anymore, sorry. I want to use yours. So I'll talk about that later. So what is method missing? And here I need everyone's guess. If you hear the word method missing, in English as it is, Musa? Perfect. Mm-hmm. It's a missing method.
I was going to say that.
No, now say something else.
It's a method that was defined maybe initially, then
Okay, crafty.
the method. It's a method that's called from logic, but it's not.
Okay.
Method missing is a method that I'm looking for but I can't see. There's nothing.
Lucy?
it's a method that is missing.
Ishasemwa? Tafuta ingine? Me say that is you. Oh,
She's called missing.
all right. Ishasemwa.
Method ambayo ipatikana.
Okay, refugee. Unidentified method. Okay. So most of your answers are not so far from the truth. Method missing. So method missing is a built-in method in the basic objects. Just as we've seen, those classes have methods, right? So basic object also has methods, and method missing is one that is in basic object initially. So that is executed when an object receives a method it can't respond to. For example, I come here and I say getty, and I give it a random method like persevere. This is what, sorry, I'm pointing at nothing. This is what method missing does. It brings this error for us. Okay, so executed when an object receives a method it can't respond to, just like you've seen in the example. So since method missing is predefined in the basic object, every class inherits from basic object, just like Stacy said. So we can always override that method in our current class. Here's an example of a method missing override. Did I write it? Okay, yeah, here. So we define a class. In Ruby, we have classes and we have, in Ruby, we have classes and we have methods. Can you see my cursor? Okay. In Ruby, you have classes and you have methods and objects. So in this method, we're defining the inbuilt method missing. Method missing is already defined in our basic object, but sisi na kimbelembele yetu, we want to define it in our class. So this is what is called overriding. The fact that this method is already defined in our basic object, but we still want to call it here just to add a little twist to it. So, so we want that anytime I'm calling a method that doesn't exist completely, this is what I want it to print. You can't call that method on this object. So try again. So we can always try this on our terminal. It's, I wish I could copy paste, too bad. So create a new class. Any other random names? Weird class. Okay, and in here we define method missing. Method missing. It takes, yeah, it takes in 2 parameters. I'll talk about that. Eggs. These are the 2 parameters it takes in. The block is optional, but I can put it here. Concern block. Right. So I don't know if I should explain this here for you to get them. Okay, so the first, sorry, the first parameter that is passed, M, this is, no, actually I have it better defined here. Here. Nasi homa. So let me explain this, then we go to the example. I think that's the best way to do it. So in defining method missing, we use the signature of the original method. What I mean by the signature of the original method is there's already a method missing in the basic object, Cindy. So when we want to override it, we should use everything that was used initially, which includes the parameters like M, args, and block, as you've seen. So the M, this is the name of the missing method that's passed on the object. This is the M I'm talking about. So any method that is missing and has been called to an object, before method missing can throw this error, this M has to be defined, which is the method that is missing. Then there's args. There's args. What args does, it sponges up any arguments that may have been placed on the original method in the basic object. So what does sponging up mean? This, I have a blog on parameters. I'll give you guys to read. It's easy explained there. So this is what sponging means. Sponging means. So when I sponge up args, I can call any number of arguments here. It doesn't have to be 1, it doesn't have to be 2, it doesn't have to be 4. I can call any number here as long as it has this asterisk. Okay? And lastly, I didn't write about blocks, but a block is simply a block of code that can be executed when called. So if I call a block, it's same as calling a method. It's just executed when it's called. Yeah, that's about the parameters. Yes.
M was the undefined local variable.
M was the undefined method. The method that's called. All right. So, then what do you want to put here? We want to put don't what? Don't call this method. No. And we interpolate this. There.
Can you also print out the arguments?
Oh, okay. That's better. Okay. Just the arguments this time. As if I what?
And the same character counselor. It's characters.
Okay. Yeah. And we end and we end. Perfect. So I want to create an instance of class. Someone tell me how to create an instance of class. Ni piki piki ponki. Makrin. Bam. Tell me how to create an object. Unaweza tupia mtu mwingine ball kama umeshindwa. Yeah. Sure.
This is all about the
Yes. Ay, ay, ay. Pass.
What's new?
Yeah, that's new. I'm just using random words. What's the class?
Weird.
Weird class. Yes, because I call the class here with caps, so I have to use caps. Yes, weird class dot new. That's creating a new object, right? And I want to call a really weird message on this object. Clo. So what do I expect here? Honestly. Nani ajaongea? Mose. What do I expect here? Ay, ay, ay. Refugee. What do I expect to see here? Method missing. Okay. All right. Okay. There. So what method missing does is instead of you remember the argument error that we got? Where is it? This. So what method missing does, it lets us override that method in that instead of us getting this entire method, we can only set it to bring this. Don't call this method. And then it gives you the method name. And the args that Sigu told me to print, it's an empty array. I give it args when I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe before you go on, just define cloud. What is cloud?
I have no idea. Mise.
It's a random.
Yeah, explain, Chloe.
It's handy cloud. The boiler.
It's how? Sorry.
Anti-glow in Luya is called
Handy Chloe.
yeah, so alisemanga anti-glow. Yeah, glow. So we chose a random name based on her previous words. So hali yake anaitwa glow. Glow.
Yeah.
So
Umeget sasa?
we can call it Moses.
Yeah.
We can call it the method that is not exist. We call it method play.
Feeling like Moses.
It's one that doesn't exist.
I give it arguments like that. Awesome. So they show up here. All right. Is it clear?
So inamaanisha ukiwa na method missing kwa class yako, then you create an instance. Alafu you call a method that is not in existence. It will call method missing.
Yes.
Alafu ikwambie hizo vitu umecall.
Yes.
So this means that the tree haina method inaitwa process. Na ukipatia method kama class, tree.class.
Tree.class. This should work. It should return something.
That's right.
Weird class.
So class in our so method missing itakuwa kwa.
Yes.
Any other random method name? Any random
Single.
method to try it?
Huh?
Hi. Have we tree dot hi? So kama hi exist,
Which calls? Yes.
Kama exist, itakuwa legend exist.
Yes.
Na mimi mwenyewe naweza call method missing.
Wewe mwenyewe aje.
Niseme tu tree dot method missing.
Tree dot method missing. I haven't tried. We could.
So because na ukicall method missing, tuna guess that it works, yeah. But this time M ni nini?
That's the problem. Should I try?
Kwanza kidogo. Yeah. Or wrong number of arguments given.
Yes.
Lazima ipatie zote.
Yeah. All right.
Can you try a method that doesn't exist from your parameters? Wait, we've done that.
Just try it.
Like this.
Andika for high macro.
Hi. I don't know how to spell
As
macro.
in macro kama nini kama argument.
Oh.
High. Okay, so see let's do
You? Oh, sorry. It still returns the method missing exception. I call plus without an argument.
class. Class exists.
Yes. But plus it worked. Oh, okay. All right. So I think we get the concept hadi hapo. I'll go to the next one. So this is what I was talking about earlier. When I override a method, when I take a method from my parent or from my grandparent, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm altering the method ukoju. It just means that I've taken the method and I want to do what I want to do with it. But we can always access it using the super call. Let's try it. I didn't write code for that, so we'll just try it here. Another random class, people. And we define, yeah, by the way. Tuko ni mbali, so define method missing with all those tags. The block is usually optional, so let me opt out of it. Then I say if I need to explain myself here. I just write it and then explain. So I have a class called people. I have a method missing, just as we've talked about earlier, with these parameters or arguments, m and args. So this m here, it usually comes as a symbol. And when anything comes as a symbol and we want to run a class method on it, sorry, a string method on it, we always have to convert it to a string. So this is what this method does. It simply yes. A symbol, it's a data type in Ruby. Or is it? Yes, it's a data type in Ruby. Just like an integer or a string. Example, colon. And this is a string. Okay, so I have to call dot to s on this to be able to get this. So this is simply converting it to a string. And I've set it equal to getty. Getty is just some random string. And if this method here is getty, I want it to put this. But if it's not, I want method missing to go back to its method on the basic object. This is what super does. Go back to its method on the super object, on the basic object, and print out whatever was there. That means it prints out the error that I'm supposed to get. So create a new method, or sorry, a new instance of class people. And then, what do I call on this?
Hi.
Hi.
What do you expect?
Crafter? Sorry.
We expect we good.
I expect we're good. Okay.
But we good is only called if the method we pass in equal get. But the method we pass in is high. So we good will not be called. We call super. Super. Juu, ukiangalia line 35, line numbers ni hizi hapa. Ukiangalia line 35, only if the method we get itasema we good. Otherwise ita call super. Na super ile inamaanisha unakumbuka kudance na parent. Unakumbuka kudance. Nanda kudance kama sasa. Kila mtu anashake kichwa. So if you don't really feel like dancing like your parent, then unaoverride it. You define your own dance method.
Yeah.
But kuna time umechoka. So any dance style is okay. Unasema okay, mimi nimechoka, dance tu kama mzazi, si ndio? Hii mambo tumalizane nayo. Hiyo ndio sasa super. Call venye mzazi wako dance. Hiyo story issue.
Yes.
Hiyo ndio super. So only if I'm tired. Okay, if I'm okay, then like 36 ni we're good.
Yeah.
Else inamaanisha nimechoka, super. Where dance comes as history there.
Yes.
So itakuwa itakuwa the default in
Kwa basic object.
basic object.
All right.
Na itakuwa
So
error.
itakuwa error. Perfect. And so what if we call get unit?
Naogopa.
Mimi niko poa. No, I need suggestions. Any suggestions? I just need one and then I carry on. To print it good. There. Yes, so that's just about it. So the last thing I want to talk about is active record. Method missing in active record. So I once did a meetup on active record, and so here I'm just doing a briefing. So active record is basically an intermediary between my application and the database. It simply connects the two. So it takes objects and translates them into database columns or rows. For the database to interact with the app, we need active record for Rails specifically. There. So method missing in active record. The best examples handled well by method missing are attribute-based finders and matchers. So attribute-based finders are these examples that are given here. Sorry. Examples like find by, find all by, find last by. These are methods that actually require a suffix. A suffix is a word that is added to another word, to the end of another word. So I can either say find by ID or find by name or find by email. Yeah, such. So if any of the suffixes match with any columns in your database, it gets converted into a query. Let me do this here. What were online pole? This is my app. This is my DB. So I have an object here called Omire, and I want to find by, let's say, name. And here in my DB, I have ID, I have name, I have email. I hope I'm explaining this thing well. So I have ID 1, 2, and 3. I have name S, T, maybe V. And emails, I have blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, so what this, I want to explain this. This is active record. Perfect. So if I do object.find by name, what active record does the SQL code for us. So it comes here because a database can't understand this. When you give this to a database, I do not think it's going to understand it. So SQL has this where thing. I remember learning it in school. The where method, this is a method that can communicate to a DB. So what active record does, it takes an object from the app, a method that's been sent, and it converts it to SQL, and that's why it comes to the database and looks at this, the suffix that's been added. See, this is our method here, but we have suffixes instead. So this suffix ndio inakuja na inaangalia hapa, name. And it comes, it selects the name that it wants to and returns it. So, yeah. So just in order to find it in the database. But if it doesn't, if imekuja hapa na, let's say, find all by, tuseme, singleity, because it's not a thing. So itakam hapa. Ikisha come kwa DB, it gets ID, it gets name, it gets email. Hakuna singleity anywhere here. It's a random thing. It's not a thing. No. It's yeah, find by Mose. This is nothing that exists. So if it comes here through the active record and looks through all of these, haitapata hii Mose. And this is where method missing comes in and throws an exception penye tumeona. Perfect. That was me. Thank you.
Awesome.
I hope mmelewa.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I need you guys to ask questions. Like any question uko nayo kwa akili, whether mostly Ruby related or any other. And then we'll try to answer them, all of us. Just like 5 minutes or any question at all. Enye unataka kulearn kwa Ruby or anything. Oh, sorry.
If find by name, no name of find by name, find by ID. Kwa active record. Kwa hiyo mambo ya find by name, find by ID na find by anything else kwa active record ati broadcast acha inaendelea. Find by name, find by ID, find by email. In active record, it's never defined. What's defined is there's a mechanism whereby if you do find by anything, then method missing will pick that up. Okay? Then it will take the last part, as Get was saying, it will take the last part, check it on the database. If it exists, then it creates a method called find by name. Now that's another metaprogramming thing. So we use method missing to create a method that was never there. So the method is created when it's needed. This database column, it's name and email. We can have another one for nickname. Okay? So you can say find by nickname. We don't need to define find by nickname. Active record doesn't need to define find by nickname. But when you want to find by nickname, metaprogramming will create a method called find by nickname using method missing. So it checks, is the method there? No. If it's not there, check the method name. It checks in the method name. Check the last part of the method.
check if the last part of the method, which is nickname, is present in the database. Is it there? Now, that's where we were using this. Where's the if? It's not there. So there was an instance where we were using if, right here. So if it's there in the database, then create the method called find by nickname. Okay? Else call super undefined method. This and that. Yeah.
This thing.
Which thing?
This thing you're talking about only works with the find by all, find by.
Okay, so it only works with find by because if you look at line 35, right here, if you look at line 35, we have if. So active record has a way, it only captures anything that starts with find from the slide. There. If you start with the find underscore by, then underscore the last part, so it can be find by ID, find by name, find. Or if you do find all by that, or if you do find last by, or if you do find blah 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 by, there's a certain pattern that it checks for. So if the ifs have been checked for and all of them fail, then it will call super. Is that making sense? Otherwise, it creates another method on the fly for you using metaprogramming. Metaprogramming, we did that on 2 or something meetups ago. Sawa.
Quick question.
Sure.
Why would they metaprogram?
Sorry?
Why would they metaprogram?
Why would you metaprogram? Basically, when you're writing code that you want to write code. Oh Jesus, I'm lying. Sigo, why would someone metaprogram?
Imagine a situation where we have. Okay. Imagine a situation where we have 13 database columns. Without metaprogramming, we'll need 13 different methods. With metaprogramming, you need one method that takes care of the 13 columns. Because every time there's a method that's missing, take that, check the last part, confirm that the last part is in the database, now create a method using metaprogramming that will find by either email, ID, or whichever of the 13 of them. So you metaprogram to write less code.
A lazy program is a good program.
Very good program.
Well, both is very lazy.
Okay, so imagine Active Record is a good program. Active Record is a gem that enables you to find by anything. All applications on this world zinakuanga na different columns with different column names. It can be a blog with a title. It can be a blog with a title or description or rating. You can't have methods that will find by description, rating, and all that. So create a program that will create a program that checks if that exists and uses that to find.
Awesome. Thank you, Sigu. That's well explained. Anyone else with any burning issues?
Can I stop the broadcast?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, exactly.
So, there being no other business. Oh yeah, we need to discuss the next meetup things. Give me ideas of topics that we can discuss on the next meetup. Anything that you need discussed, I'll write here. And then we'll make a vote. We'll do a vote. Yeah.
Okay, suggestions, anything that you want to know in Rails?
Yeah, we can discuss.
Is it Rails or
Any. Oh, not Ruby. See Ruby and Rails. It isn't Ruby and Rails. It's just Ruby.
Next week is Rails.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Any
I'm okay.
suggestions? Anything at all that you want to learn in Ruby? We can just note it down and then do a vote. Modules. Okay, it's an idea.
Suggestions, Mosa? Anything in Ruby that you want us to cover in Tuesday?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's not Ruby.
This should be Ruby. Pure. Yeah, pure Ruby. Rails we are going to do next week. Then, so we alternate. We have Ruby and Rails, Ruby and Rails. So this is Ruby. This is metaprogramming. And next week, not Rails. Then the following week, what we discuss now is pure Ruby. Any suggestions?
Anything? Mm-hmm.
You're not a Rubyist. Anything on Ruby? Refugee? Hauna ingine. Tunaweza fanya.
Libraries. Ruby libraries.
Dada hii sijui yake. Basi pia tutry kutoka TDD. Ndio nacheka mami.
We could.
Tunaweza try TDD.
Yeah. Okay. I suggest you can try solving a code war. Yeah. Yes. We insist on HDD. Yeah. Okay. So we do a vote. How many for modules? Kila mtu lazima inue mkono. Modules? No. Modules. Kuna modules, kuna TDD, kuna code wars. Huh? Next week's topic. Next. Or modules. They are classes but without instances. Utaijua. Okay, modules. Mwinue mkono pamoja wote. Modules 4. Wow. Sasa imewin. Hata kuna haja kufanya hizo zingine. Perfect. So next week we will be discussing modules or the other week.
Views.
Oh, views.
Views in Rails.
Who's taking us through views?
Ilikuwa hivi kwa mimi ama so inakaa
Nimekuwa sign. Perfect.
So next week tunafanya views up. Naweza stop broadcast then we have sequence. Oh, nani? Peter alikuwa anasema writing test cucumber.
Oh,
We can consider that na mjibu
okay.
for Rails.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's hard to do that. Oh. Yeah.
Oh. All right. So thank you guys for showing up. This has been awesome. The meetup imekuwa so, how can I call it? Helpful. So see you next week. Next week we'll be talking about views in Ruby, and it will be a very interesting topic. Sorry, views in Rails. Sorry, a very interesting topic. So hope to see you there. Right. Bye.
Bye.